up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to the WARFRAME video. So, guess what? A lot of those Dante nerfs are getting reverted, and we're going over that today. We've got actually some Dante buffs coming next week to revert a lot of this stuff, and there were some Dante buffs today to his overguard numbers, and they've improved the line of sight checks on his ultimate tragedy. It's still not perfect, and yeah, I didn't realize how bad that the line of sight implementation was when I first made that patch note video yesterday. So let's get some actual nerf ranting in this one today, because I don't think I did you guys a good service yesterday. So let's get right into it. We also got Baro as well, so we're going to go over Baro. And yeah, also throw in some Dante level multiple thousand gameplay on the current, well actually it's the patch yesterday, so Dante's actually better than the footage you'll see in the video today. Before we get into it though, make sure you're subbed to this channel. We do daily Warframe video uploads. I'll be on live on stream tonight too, doing some Warframe grinding. I actually haven't seen what Baro even has, so maybe Baro will have a new Prime mod or something. It's really going to be a surprise to me, and hopefully it's good. But yeah, let's get right into it with Baro Katir. So Baro is going to be on Earth, on the Strata Relay, and I have no idea what he has. And yes, there was actually two hot fixes today. One of them was the Dante nerf reverts for the most part, and then also the other one was fixing deep Archimedeans rotating where they weren't supposed to. There's more hot fixes planned for next week. They're actually going to make the birds got heavily nerfed. I show the footage here. The birds got heavily nerfed. They're going to revert the birds. The birds will be able to do status damage debuffing, basically. They weren't able to do that before. Now, the big thing I'm wondering about, and honestly, it's very fair for, I think, the players to be wondering this. If Dante had to get nerfed this much, how was he not tested ahead of time? They're like, oh, you know what? This much overguard's a little bit too much. That much is too much. Okay, so we got an Ivara in action glyph as the new item. So literally nothing here. But as far as what we have as far as prime mods and mods, let's take a quick Baro inventory review. So Voltaic Strike for melees, getting 60-60 electric and status. Prime Smite Grenier, probably one of the best mods he's got here, is going to make it where melees do a ton of extra damage to Grenier, and it will double apply to slash procs and DOT procs, so very nice on the glaive, etc., etc. Thermite rounds, this one drops from spy missions, not really much value here, but fire damage and status chance for rifles. Still a good mod, just you can farm it easily. Prime Magazine Warp, giving increased magazine size for rifles. I think I use this on the Kuva Ogress for arbitrations, but not really used very much else besides that. But if you want to start doing arbitrations, maybe get this one. And Prime Cleanse Grenier, giving you anti-Grenier. It's really the anti-Grenier week, it looks like, at Baro, giving you anti-Grenier on your shotgun. Very good for the Phantasma Prime with all those DOT procs. For cosmetics, here's what you got. Now, Chroma is getting a buff next week, so we'll go over that as well. So if you want the Chroma Immortal skin, there you go. As far as weapons, we got the Gatva Prime. Okay, so the Gatva Prime is here. This thing got really expensive, like 300, 400 plat. So make sure you grab this. This was a Twitch drop, and it's going to come only from Baro. It's not an actual Prime up, so make sure you grab this. Please grab this if you don't have it already. Prisma Tetra, it's an okay gun. It's just more like mastery fodder. It has some kind of fun stuff going on. Prisma Tetra, definitely mastery fodder. And for the miscellaneous stuff, we got some really goofy things. Like a Katir emote. So as far as what to buy, get the Prime mods you don't have, you want them. Make sure you get that Gatva Prime, though. That's really the main thing to get this week, as it is a Twitch drop only. He's only here for 1 day, 16 hours this week. Okay, let's get into the Dante nerf reverts, and also the future plans for Dante next week getting buffed. And yeah, like I said, it's more for the Nezha augment. How did that Nezha augment even come out is what I'm wondering. But let's get some Dante gameplay on the current patch. And we'll also go over the forum post for the new hotfix came out today. All right, so this is Dante on the hotfix yesterday, but he had the really, really bad line of sight, and it was a lot of players were viewing it in a very negative way. I wasn't noticing it as much, but really there was times where it's an enemy's dead body blocked another enemy from getting hit by tragedy. It's that makes no sense. Because there's no counterplay to it. You can't mod for punch through on abilities. There is nothing I could do. When you add line of sight to an ability, we've gone too far. You can't go back after that. If there's an enemy dead body blocking it, apparently even your Dante, your frame can block your line of sight. So they got some changing to do. Okay, but let's get right into the patch notes. All right. So as far as what we got here for the patch notes, this was the patch that went out today. It's going to be involving tragedy line of sight. So here's what they've changed, and I've received reports that it's still not good, okay? So DE, keep taking that feedback. I'm sure you guys are. But what they've changed, let's just read the criteria of it. As a result of yesterday's hotfix and the understandable feedback we're receiving, revert Dante, revert Dante, revert Dante, refund me, blah, blah, blah. There were so many people saying revert Dante. We want to address the clearly broken state of Tragedy's LOS checks. It was not implemented to our standards, and that is on us. Man, I really wish they would have talked like this when they nerfed Cora in like 2020, and everybody denied it. Everybody denied it besides me. I said, they nerfed Cora, the line of sight is terrible. And then people making, other creators making videos, Cora didn't get nerfed, Gaz is crazy. This actually happened. Creators that still make content to this day, nerf denied Cora, okay? So where was this in 2020, man? At least we got this changed nowadays. We know that this has been an unpopular change, which has been greatly aggravated by the fact that it launched in a defective state, and B, the line of sight check is in general suffer from broad inconsistencies. Wow. You know, it might be annoying that they added this, but I'm just glad that they're like, you know, being very transparent. It's like, it's bad. Here's why it's bad. We know it's bad now. It was honestly like there was no need to emergency nerf Dante. What was the problem? Were people AFK farming with Dante's abilities? What happened? Like what happened? I don't know what happened, and it honestly annoys me a lot. So, yeah, let's move on to the next one. Our next step is improving the LOS checks on Tragedy to fix the inconsistencies and ineffectiveness. We'll use our learnings from this incident to review other cases of LOS checks in future issues in a future update. Great. That sounds good. They're going to check other LOS checks in a future update that are bad. So hopefully Cora can get some more look-ats. But Cora's is kind of okay nowadays. Okay, so the actual change. Improved Tragedy's line of sight check per enemy to be much more forgiving and reliable to fix many players' case of reporting him not being able to hit enemies at all. Now it considers not only the enemies that Dante sees, but also those visible on screen via the camera. That's good. So any part of them, big or small, is considered eligible for the LOS check. To break it even deeper, enemies positioned directly behind or in front of Dante, okay, so enemies within 5 meters of Dante are automatically considered visible. So if there's an enemy right next to you, it will be hit no matter what, within 5 meters. That's what they're saying right here. I haven't tested it myself. I've been receiving reports. It's still not very good. So keep up the good work, DE. Enemies barely in cover or who had just run into cover. Enemy positioned at a different height to Dante where they are partially in view. Enemies that are not caught in the is the enemy on screen check. Use an improved targeting detection where we can now check for line of sight to the target's head, torso, and feet. Previously, we could only check their torso. Okay, I could definitely notice that. They will improve the reliability of hitting enemies when they are not directly on the screen. Fixed Tragedy not hitting ragdolled enemies. Okay, with the changes above, this is where Tragedy's LOS checks should have been originally. As mentioned above, we are also taking what we've learned from Dante and will be making general improvements to LOS checks as a whole in the near future. We've provided details on what we plan to do in the post we made today. I'll go over that post here in a second. But in short, we will be making LOS checks across the board more reliable than they are currently. Okay, so they're doing the non-lazy way of doing this. Okay, so here I'll explain why people were so mad, why I actually got really mad last night as well. Why did Dante need emergency LOS? Did you think that he was going to trivialize deep Archimedeans? Because they're not really that hard. What was the big problem? I don't see what the big problem was. Because you know what? You're still nuking down level 10,000 with Dante. The damage itself didn't get changed. It's just the convenience and the quality of life of the ability got changed. So I don't know what the situation... Why did they have to do that is what I'm wondering. And they actually took the nerfs even further, nerfing the Overguard and the Birds. But actually the Overguard nerf did get somewhat reverted. It's still not the exact same numbers as before, but it did get increased. So I just don't get it, DE. Why don't you explain to us why you had to add LOS to Tragedy, not how you're doing it. I just don't get it. I really don't get it. How you develop. We've known about Dante for 3 months. We've had 2-3 dev streams going over Dante and the update. And he doesn't have LOS for the entire development behind the scenes, but randomly after 4 or 5 days of players playing them, after all the formats have been spent, now LOS needs to be added in a really shoddy state that needs an emergency hotfix the next day? What even happened? What even happened? I don't understand. No one understands besides hopefully DE understands. It's crazy to me. Let's move on to the next one here. Lightverse and Triumph Overguard increases. The second pillar of feedback we want to address in our changes to Dante's Overguard capabilities, we want to a deep initial decrease. So basically cut it in half. They cut it in half And they're bumping up the overguard, which, by the way, this does not matter at like maximum level. For endurance runners, this does not matter. If you look on the screen, I have overguard regen. Overguard regen is the crazy part at level 10,000s. At normal levels, the overguard amounts were the good part. At level 10,000, overguard regen is the good part. Because the enemies at this level break your overguard in like one bullet. So, yeah. But moving on, they're going to be making the overguard per build, per light cast from 250 to 350. So remember, it was 500 before. So it's still nerfed compared to yesterday, but it's better than yesterday. Or it's better than there was multiple states of Dante yesterday. So he had 500 before the first nerfing hotfix, the terrible hotfix. And then now he's going to 350. So almost the same as before, but not entirely. Increase the overguard gain from Triumph from 2,000 to 3,000. So that one was also, that was 5,000 before, it's 3,000 now. Okay, we knew that we could tackle the LOS improvements in overguard today without hesitation. However, this is just a tip on the feedback iceberg, and we know there's more that we can share, that we can accomplish today regarding LOS. Overguard and more. So we'll continue to digest and evaluate feedback, and we encourage you to keep sharing. Okay, so there's another post here afterwards. Another post for what their plans are for next week. Okay, so there's actually some more, fundamental changes to Warframe happening next week. So as far as what you're going to be having, first off, it's an exciting week for Warframe. Let's read what they said here. Following the very positive launch of Dante Unbound, we threw the doors open to the deep Archimedes and elite Archimedians. People have been laughing all the way to the bank with our newfound riches of Archon shards. I don't know about that. I got a melee adapter. And 50 Phosphor. But there's also been some missteps which must be taken and apologized for with regard to Dante himself and the rapid changes that caught people unaware. We've already made a big correction by fixing the LOS calculations, which were, to put it bluntly, not as good as they should have been on release. Why'd you release them then? Why'd you release them? We never stop reviewing feedback, and in the spirit of making constant improvements to our game, here's a preview of the next steps what players can expect. Okay, so the birds got massively nerfed with the change. They used to do status chance vulnerability and status damage vulnerability. They currently only have status chance vulnerabilities. They removed the status damage part. They are re-adding the status damage part back to the birds. So that means the Occucore level 10,000 Dante is going to be just as good. In the footage right now, you can't really kill Thrax as easily with the Occucore because the birds got nerfed. That being said, it's still good. But yeah, now he'll be back to the way he was supposed to be with the Occucore, and you'll be able to melt Eximus and Thrax with the Occucore very, very quickly, as long as the birds have hit them. If the birds haven't hit them, it's still going to be pretty quick, to be honest. But yeah, that's going to be a big change next week. So the birds are getting reverted, and also more fundamental changes here. We got improving the co-op play between Warframes and their teammates, Overguard and Warframes that rely on taking damage. Vex Armor is getting changed. Vex Armor can now charge its damage by getting ranged kills, and the armor buff is provided by getting melee kills. So Chroma currently, if you don't know how Chroma works, Chroma, basically, the way his damage buff works, you have to get shot at and take health damage to be able to get your damage buff on Chroma. So they're making it where Chroma can now build his damage buff from getting gun kills. So that's a big change. It's going to be that you can have Overguard and Chroma and not be like crying because your abilities don't work properly because Dante is ruining all the fun for you. Additionally, you get your armor buff from melee kills. So if you want a big armor buff on Chroma, get some melee kills, and you will not have to rely on getting shot by enemies anymore. Rage and Hunter Adrenaline are also being changed. The mods that give you energy when you lose health. Rage and Hunter Adrenaline will now grant energy when you don't have shields. So Anaros and Nidus can regenerate energy even through Overguard. So I guess it's going to work on Overguard apparently. So that's going to be happening next week. Other forms of damage like Combat Discipline will also be reviewed in the future. So they might end up nerfing Combat Discipline Avenger, I'd say, from that. Okay, so that is going to be the main patch for the Dante changes today. There's nothing, literally zero mention of Nejah's Augment, okay? And if you guys saying yesterday, like, why is Gaz acting like these are nothing nerfs? Because honestly, dude, from what I could tell, I was so battered from the Korra nerf stuff way back, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to even go over it. But yes, the LOS was really bad yesterday, and the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, this is kind of just complete baloney. Why did we get emergency Dante changes? Why was this stuff not decided on for the months we knew about Dante? It's like anyone was like, oh yeah, if Dante would have came out and had LOS, it wouldn't have been as big of an issue. But instead, you released Dante going through walls, his strategy going through walls. you decide it was some really big problem that happened, even though I didn't see the problem. If anything, like the actual status multiplier was the problem, but hey, you're buffing that back up, so whatever. I just don't get it. DE's being very chaotic right now as far as what they're doing. I think honestly, guys, the negative feedback has been working pretty well. Yeah, I'm probably going to throw rolling guard back on Dante as I died a couple times in this run. But yeah, guys, it's going to be getting reverted for the most part. But it looks like the LOS checks on Dante are still pretty bad. So if you are thinking the Dante LOS is still bad, make sure you go provide that feedback to them. I haven't, like I said, I haven't tested it out, but he can still kill level 10,000 with abilities. It's just, you know, if they can't be behind like a coffee mug. If they're behind a coffee mug, you're not going to hit them. So provide that feedback. I'll put the links to these posts on the forums. I'm sure DE will be reading all that feedback because we're getting a lot of it. They got like 9 pages of Revert Dante on Friday. So, and I got like hundreds of comments too saying Dante blah blah blah. Now, people saying Dante is dead are just fools. I don't think that Dante is dead at all. He did get buffed too. So if the overguard number was the problem to you, that got fixed. But yeah, saying that Dante's dead because the tragedy doesn't go through walls is just foolish. But hey, if you want to stop playing Dante, be my guest. I'll be the only Dante in the squad then, I suppose. And then everyone can say thank you for my overguard, not for yours. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully you found this video enjoyable and helpful. Yeah, leave not positive, constructive feedback on DE's forum post because no mention of Neja. We can make another video on Neja soon. How did you release that Neja augment? What was that? What was what happened yesterday? That was what the video today was going to be, but ended up just being, going over Dante changes. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Hope you have a good weekend, and take it easy. Peace.